Good morning and welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Today's invocation will be by Dr. Mike Marshall from the First United Methodist Church. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
Good morning, and let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the gift of this new day. We're grateful for Mayor Parker, for our city council, for every leader here in this room today. We thank you for your presence and for your guidance. We're also grateful for being able to call Fort Worth home, for every person in every neighborhood, for our schools, our organizations, and our places of worship. Help us be alert to each new opportunity that you give to us to make a difference for someone else. It's a blessing for us to be a part of something bigger than each one of us. And speaking of blessings, we thank you, God, for blessing us to be blessings for others. Amen.
Hey, Mayor, I just want to take a point of personal privilege and say, Reverend Marshall, thanks for being here today. Appreciate you. He married my wife and I almost 23 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so thank you again. I'm sure it's kind of, she might still regret it, but I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Our first items will be special presentations. The first one is presentation of Proclamation for Disability Book Week.
And that would be me, so I'm going to ask Miss Lori Williams-George to join me at the podium, please. Good morning and welcome everybody to the City Council meeting. We have three wonderful presentations today, and the first one is to present a proclamation for Disability Book Week. And I'm here with my good friend Lori George with Advocates of Disability Inclusion in Literature. This group and the concept of Disability Book Week originally began as a capstone project for Partners in Policymaking, a fellowship from the Texas Council of Development Disabilities. This book week, held April 23rd through 29th each year, invites individuals all over the world to become more inclusive of what they need to read by reading a book that features a main character with a disability. We really appreciate your time to be here today. I'm going to read our proclamation, and I think for the mamas in the audience, we all need a better t-shirt like this one that she has on. It says, "Advocate like a mother." I love it. It says, "Whereas the disability experience is a natural part of life and is valued as a part of our rich diversity, yet the disability community is underrepresented in literary works. Inclusion is essential within communities, and we must make an intentional effort to create welcoming environments for all. And whereas there is a limited awareness of disability inclusion in literature, the most effective way to increase awareness is through everyone's openness to learn and acknowledge that there are systemic barriers and reduce the likelihood of those with disabilities enjoying equitable experiences. And whereas equitable experiences and full inclusion is a matter of social justice. Consequently, creating equitable inclusion environments is a shared responsibility of everyone. This advocacy effort, Disability Book Week, is dedicated to increasing awareness and inclusion of authors with disabilities and books featuring characters with disabilities so that these communities feel represented. And whereas Disability Book Week provides an opportunity for schools, libraries, and the public in general to raise awareness for the underrepresented disability population, citizens should appreciate the rich talents and diversity that those with disabilities can offer their communities and recognize and remove barriers to include everyone in every aspect of life. The City of Fort Worth does hereby recognize and proclaim April 23rd through 29th, 2023, Disability Book Week." And Lori, you're welcome to say a few words if you would like to this morning.
I just want to say thank you for having me, and I'll buy my tippy toes here.
I'm cheating today.
I just want to thank Mayor Parker and the city of Fort Worth for welcoming this idea with open arms. Anytime I've come to the city, I've been met with nothing but open arms when it comes to advocating for those with disabilities. So I just want to thank Mayor Parker and everyone on council for your support of all citizens with disabilities in Fort Worth.
And I think our next presentation is a certificate of recognition for Don Graves, and Councilmember Alan Blaylock is going to come down. I'm going to stay right here, Alan, if you don't mind.
So I'd like to welcome Corporal Don Graves, Kelly Costano, and roll call here today for Don Graves' 98th birthday. I want to wish you a happy birthday, sir. His birthday is on May 3rd. He's coming up very soon, and he's got a very special trip coming up. I want to read the proclamation to you. It's Corporal Don Graves serves his country with honor and distinction as a member of D Company, 2nd Battalion, 28th Marines, 5th Marine Division of the United States Marine Corps, dedicating his life to protecting and defending the freedoms we hold dear. Raised during the Great Depression, and after hearing of the bombing of Pearl Harbor, he left home at 17 years old, enlisted, and volunteered to serve his country as a Marine. He exemplified the courage and selflessness that defines the Marine Corps, fearlessly jeopardizing his well-being while serving in World War II. He is known as the only flamethrower in the 2nd Battalion to survive the invasion of Iwo Jima, where 26,000 Americans were injured and nearly 7,000 killed. Don Graves has continued to dedicate his life to serving as a singer, entertainer, minister, and most recently, sharing his life experiences as a public speaker, telling his story to over 7 million people. Don Graves, a true American hero and an unapologetic patriot, has led a life of service, reverence, pride, charisma, infectious enthusiasm, and love of country. Don, I'd like to request that you sing God Bless America for us, or lead us in it.
Be happy to. It's one of my favorites. I'll sing under one condition. You sing with me. Now, the front row, if I don't see your lips move, I'm coming over. Coming over. All right. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, wide we flow. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I've added something to it. You don't have to follow me. America, America, America. Thank you.
So Don, hey, don't go off yet, Don. Don't go off yet. So I understand you're going to realize one of your lifelong dreams.
Pardon?
This coming week, you're going to go to Ireland. Is that right?
That I am.
Yes, you are. So, Don, so it was your dream to sit in an Irish pub and sing Danny Boy, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So Don is going to Ireland. He's leaving on May 3rd. You can follow his trip on the Last Letters podcast. It will be on Instagram and Facebook. So anyway, we'd like to do a picture with you, Don. And if anyone would like to join us, please come on down.
You know, when I go to the pub, I think I'll go to the pub. And I'm gonna walk in, bang my fist on the bar, and I'm gonna call for the barkeep. I'll be taking a glass of green beer if it's all mine. He'll probably say we don't have green beer.
That's great, Don. This is for you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
All right, right here.
Well. Okay, this did it. I'm re-upping. I think.
I think they'll take you. I think they'll take you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate you.
Especially if I get my head squared away. Is he still alive? He's done?
No.
Oh, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your service, sir. Great appreciate you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All
Appreciate it.
right,
Thank you.
good-
Congratulations.
Good hand.
Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Very
for being
good.
here. Thank you, Don.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
too bad.
See you at breakfast tomorrow.
Thank you all. Not bad for a Detroit boy.
So council, we're going to move from recognizing one of the greatest generation. Thank you so much to our World War II hero, Mr. Don Graves. And we're going to move to an example of what today's future generation and future leaders look like with Councilmember Michael Crane. And gentlemen, if you'd like to come behind me, that'd be wonderful.
Mayor, I'd love for you to stay down, and I've invited Alan Blaylock, who is an alumni of Western Hills High School, if you didn't know that. Gosh dang, I love day meetings. They're good, right? This is really, really fun, and I love that often in the headlines we hear negative things happening, and we hear a lot in this chamber, but there's so much good out there. We see this morning all the good that's going on already. And it's great when you get positive stories in sometimes this negative world. So I was really pleased when the Fort Worth Report, Kristen Barton and Rachel Burnt did an article talking about Las Vegas Trail, all the changes happening there, and in particular at Western Hills High School, highlighted these three men here. Thank y'all for being here. Keon Butler, Aaron Martin, RJ Moylan. Appreciate what y'all are doing. And if you aren't familiar with Western Hills High School, 87% of the families are economically disadvantaged. And so there's a lot of unmet need there. And I have to also recognize in the audience, and I'll read y'all the recognition, Patty Presley. Where's Patty? Patty that's here, or Miss Patty as y'all call her. Yes, Miss Patty. She spearheads the Cougar Alliance, Cougar Pride Alliance, which runs the Cougar Corner, providing lunches, clothes, school supplies, and a lot of helping with a lot of unmet need with the helps of schools, churches. Rainwater Foundation, I think, backs you up too. Coach Moylan's here. I want to say hi to Coach Moylan. He's here with the guys, and I think it was a community listening session back in 2017 that one of your assistant coaches was there as we held that, and y'all were making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the guys because they were hungry going out in the field, coming to school. And it really was that was impetus for Patty and the Cougar Pride Alliance to come together and start providing meals and everything else. And I know the refrigerator that's there that helps as part of it too. And I think there's some correlation between the focus being put on the area and the performance, because the last time the school had reached the playoffs was in 2010. Is that right, Coach? And after they now advanced the by-district round in 2020, 2021, and 2022. I think that deserves a round of applause. And Keon, you were the quarterback, right? Yeah, you were District 6 4A 1 MVP as well. Yeah, good job on that too. Lastly, before I read this recognition, I just want to say it's really a team effort. I want to recognize Paige Charbonnet that's in here too. Yeah, that heads up our LBT Rise program. They have worked a lot with the kids, and we worked at, gosh dang, I always do that. I know. But recently you bought prom tickets and graduation gowns and everything else with the help of the community of making sure these kids that can't afford it can afford it and still graduate. So thank you for that. And I have a recognition for all of you. Keon, there you go. RJ, here you go. And I'll read it really quickly. There you go. So it says, Keon Butler, Aaron Martin, and RJ Moreland represent the Western Hills High School spirit of excellence and determination. They've all achieved high honor roll status while serving as co-team captains and all-district players for the Western Hills Cougar football team. On and off the field, these student athletes have accomplished incredible feats during their time in high school. In the classroom, the students went above and beyond to be role models for their class. Aaron, Keon, and RJ are known for being leaders through the support and encouragement of their peers. In addition, they have been recognized by their school as personable and respectful young men whose positive attitude benefits all who are around them. Thank you for your dedication to your community and going above and beyond to embody Cougar pride every day. The citizens of Fort Worth will be cheering for you and your success at the University of Central Missouri and beyond. So congratulations, guys. Good luck with your college career. You're all going to play football. Yes? All right. Congratulations. I'll give you that.
I'd just like to thank Mayor Parker and the city of Fort Worth. I grew up not too far from the trail, so just growing up with my environment, just seeing what was around me, I knew I could do something better with my life, just the opportunity that I was being given. And through the grace of God and Coach Moylan and my family and my teammates and my great support system, I'm here. So I just appreciate everybody who's around and everybody who keeps believing in us. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Can we get a picture? Can we get, yeah, all of y'all, come on, Coach. Come on, Patty, everybody. Paige, come on up. Thank you, yeah, thank you. Good luck. Wow, thank you.
Next will be announcements of any items being withdrawn from the consent agenda.
We have one item that will be withdrawn from the consent agenda. That is M&C 23-0317. That'll be withdrawn and brought back at a later date.
Announcement of items being continued or withdrawn by staff.
And we have one item that will be continued. That is M&C 23-0191. And that will be continued to August 8th.
Next will be speakers on the consent agenda. And Mayor, I believe we have 6 registered speakers.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. Our first speaker on our consent agenda items is Miss Judy Taylor, followed by Cindy Bowling.
Our third speaker just stepped out a minute, so glad to be here. I'm Judy Taylor. I'm president of the Hanley Neighborhood Association in East Fort Worth. As an 82-year-old resident of Fort Worth, I remember many positive things, all-American city, and great leaders. I lived just 2 blocks east of where I-35 cut us off from the city. Years later, I remember very fully when 820 cut us off from the city, even further. East Fort Worth is the home of Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, one of the largest in the nation. East Fort Worth is the home of 3 libraries, the only children's library in the area. As president of Handling Neighborhood Association, I wish to introduce you to the East Fort Worth that Visit Fort Worth deems unworthy of recognition. Historic homes, historic trees, a nationally known wedding district, the home of antique shops that gave their time and effort to show the wives of the Dallas Cowboys football team their interest. Hanley was the home of the interurban and the railroad connection for the distance of every different direction. Bonnie and Clyde robbed our library. Bankhead Highway crosses through East Fort Worth on its way from Washington to California. Many parks, Gateway Park, Quanah Parker Park, Oakland Park, Hanley Park, Sandy Lane Park, part of the well-known walking trail, bike trail that goes through Fort Worth and all the way to Dallas. Hanley houses the best music recording studio outside of Hollywood, the home of the busiest fire station in Fort Worth. Why is West Fort Worth more important than East Fort Worth? We pay taxes to the city of Fort Worth. East Fort Worth is deemed unworthy of recognition by the Visit Fort Worth. Why? We need to be on the map. I'm against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Our next speaker is Ms. Cindy Bowling, followed by Torchy White.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Bowling. I live in Central Meadowbrook for about 35 years. That is in East Fort Worth. And I am speaking in opposition of MNC 230330. The map displayed is the map created by Visit Fort Worth and is what people pick up at visitor centers at the Texas border. These were also handed out at the festival. I've enhanced the highways that surround East Fort Worth. My husband Mark and I picked up this map on a trip back from Oklahoma, and that is the first time we had ever seen it. I was first stunned and then angry that our neighborhood was completely erased by Visit Fort Worth and instead shows Fort Worth ends at I-35. Note, however, that Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Dallas are shown. I started asking why Visit Fort Worth had deemed my neighborhood, East Fort Worth, not worthy of depiction. I haven't received one definitive answer, but have learned this isn't an oversight. An oversight happens by mistake. This elimination of Fort Worth east of I-35 is intentional. This has been brought to the attention of Visit Fort Worth long before I did. So I say, what about Gateway Park and its amazing trail system? What about Tandy Hills Natural Area? Texas Wesleyan University? The historic Meadowbrook Golf Course that a whole bunch of money is getting ready to be spent on? Historic Hanley? Ruby Carey Children's Library? To name several locations that are absolutely relevant to Fort Worth, and all are located in East Fort Worth. Mark and I adamantly oppose the city entering into the $16 million plus contract with an organization that has intentionally shown Fort Worth to stop at I-35. Before my city enters into another agreement with Visit Fort Worth, all of the information distributed must include the entire city. And I think this can be done quickly. I've learned it's not a computer-generated map. There are handwritten graphics, but I think the current maps need to be picked up immediately, and if anything, make an amendment, set a deadline for these corrections to be made right now before anything goes forward. That's what I ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bowling. Our next speaker is Torchy White, followed by Bob Jameson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Torchy White, and I live in District 5. I'm here to give the council a heads. The tourism map indicates that on the east side do not exist. So if we do not exist east of 35 on the Fort Worth visitors tourism map, then does that mean that District 5, 8, and soon to be 11 council seats do not exist or part of the DFW airport? And does it mean our council persons' vote on this issue does not count? Does this mean that a portion of that $16 million can be used to help us to newly exist on the tourism map? Since we do not exist, does that mean we cannot have signature stores and much requested sit-down restaurants on the east side? If we do not exist, does that mean that we do not have to pay those huge property tax increases we just received in the mail? Visit Fort Worth should be reminded that we in historic Carver Heights and historic Hanley have beautiful public art. The east side is already underserved and treated like redheaded stepchildren on the internet. Therefore, if the east side and south side are not good enough to be on the map, then maybe the Convention and Visitors Bureau does not deserve our portion of those funds in the amount of $16 million plus. So we respectfully ask, may we be on the visitors map with the rest of Fort Worth, please? Thank you in advance for your attention to this disheartening matter, and we trust you, so we know that you will take care of this and do the right thing by the east side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Our next speaker is Bob Jameson.
Tourism is strongest when it's built on community input. And our passion for our communities is part of why visitors fall in love with this city. I want to thank Ms. Taylor, Ms. White, and Ms. Bowling for helping us share more of the Fort Worth story. Since you first contacted my team, we set to work on ways to highlight more of East Fort Worth, including blogs, videos, and social media that promote locations like Handley, like Tandy Hills Natural Area and area restaurants, and others. I've asked my team to share our progress with you by May 7th. And I hope you will continue to work with us. While I'm here, I do want to thank you, the City Council, and your staff, City Manager Cook, Assistant City Manager Johnson, and Public Events Director Mike Crum, for your support of our visitor economy. The tourism industry has created record results for our city, 30,000 jobs, $3 billion annual economic impact, a $700 offset on property taxes. There are big things ahead for Fort Worth, attracting more conventions, cheering more sports events, creating more jobs, and supporting more locally owned businesses by visitors, people who obviously don't live here. The fact that we can make the story that is so rich today that much richer with your help is important to us, and we appreciate the opportunity to visit. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, who will be followed by Carolina Rodriguez.
Adrian Smith. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Truly, 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 it's appalling that I wasn't even aware what these ladies will be speaking on, or this gentleman, because it's not before the people. And we're supposed to speak on these items when these items are presented. But for those who have a printout, the item I'm speaking on is MMC 230316, page 8 of 15. And what I have presented to you all are People's Exhibit B and A. This particular, I believe, contract that is to be voted on by this council, this particular business entity, I believe it is, called Freeze and Nichols, has given campaign contributions to 2 of our council members. So to me, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the book or the smartest kid in class, that seems like there would be some type of conflict of interest. Somebody help me, those who know governance. So they operate as a PAC, but Exhibit B is going to District 9, which is Beck's, Councilwoman Beck's district, and Exhibit A under there is our mayor. So my question to this council is this how we do things? I see the laughter, Mr. Nettles. I don't know if what I'm saying is funny, but know that people are watching. Ms. Beck, know that people are watching. If this is how we do business here in Fort Worth, I want the people of Fort Worth to realize the time that we are currently in. The days are counting down. And I can't say for what, because they'll say I'm up here doing something that I don't have no place in doing. But I think y'all get the gist of what I'm saying. But to the council, it smells bad, and it looks bad. To the people, this is your city hall, and we need to restore the will of the people back to this city hall. To the media, if you're listening, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and any other media outlets, it's your job to keep the people informed about the business of this city. To the staff, I truly, truly, my hearts go out to you all, because I know you all do your due diligence to make this council shine bright. But week after week, it's just saddening. And as I take my seat, I got one more thing to speak on. I'll be back.
Ms. Carolina Rodriguez is next.
Okay, so I don't know. I have 2 things I'm speaking on, but I'll just speak on the one. I'm speaking on the one where the chief of police is putting up somebody for you guys to okay. Is everybody? He's like recommending somebody. Well, I want to speak about that. So Ronald Reagan, he was one of my favorite presidents, and one of the many things that he said, one of the things that stood out was something he said was trust but verify. So I'm just wondering if anybody on the council read this man's resume. Did anybody read it? Because we seem to trust the chief a lot, but nobody ever verifies what he does. And like some of his other picks that he has for the police, for his officers, we have Officer Taylor Stevens, who was fired with 5 other officers when they let the man, I think it was Mr. Miller, die in the backseat of their car. And they were all fired, but Taylor Stevens was hired back by this chief. She was fired by the other one and hired back. We got cocaine being found in the Southside lockers. We still don't know who did that. We had another kid die with a knee on his neck last week at the Grand Plaza, and we haven't heard anything about that either, what officer it was or if he's on leave. We have Officer Hoffman, who planted drugs on people, and he still has his job. So I'm just hoping that you guys will start verifying what this chief is doing, because he doesn't seem to be making a lot of good decisions to me, you know. He's got his little safe plan going, and I noticed that I was over on the east side the other day, and they had a car pulled over, and suddenly there were 10 cars around this one little car. And that doesn't happen on the other parts of town, just on the east side. So he seems to be directing all the police officers are all just like working over on the east side, stop 6 and over there. And we wonder why there's so many black people in prison, in jail. It's because they only police in the black neighborhoods. It's not because they do anything worse or they don't commit more crime. It's just that if you're only policing the black neighborhoods, that's all you're going to pick up to take to jail. And so I just want y'all to start verifying what he says and does. That's it.
Council, that's the last of our speakers on our consent agenda items. Oh, sorry, Gina, go ahead. Okay. Councilmember Nettles, followed by Councilmember Bivens.
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to address our East Side residents. A lot of the concerns that you had today, they were note-taken. We really appreciate you coming down, and this is how things change in the city of Fort Worth, is when residents are in tune to what the city is doing and come and make credible discussion. And that's what you did today. And so I do say East Side does exist, and we're going to continue to work with Bob. Thank you for coming down and speaking, and also acknowledging that your staff is going to be working with them on May the 7th. If you will, please keep me and my office involved so that we can also highlight a lot of things that's happening on the East Side. And I think that's why it's so important that we can get Lancaster up and running, the quarter, the transportation, the rapid. We're working with Trinity Metro to make that happen with COG so that we can have more things that happen on the East Side. But the East Side does exist. That is the reason why I ran for office, is because Fort Worth has always seemed like the West Side was getting more than the East Side. But East Side is doing great. So thank you guys for coming down. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge that and acknowledge you for what you said today. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Councilmember Bivens, followed by Councilmember Firestone. We're out of order, so I'll just go to Beck then.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like for the D5 ladies to come to the podium, and I'm going to share some remarks while they're coming, all three of you, unless you want to appoint somebody. This topic came up years ago when Mayor Moncrief was still in the chair. And at that time, Bob, you might want to come down too. At that time, the issue with what was then called the Convention and Visitors Bureau was, once again, omission. But in this case, it was omission of people of color. And Bob, who was that CEO then? He was the one before you.
David Dubois.
Dubois, okay. And so at that time, we had Rosa Navajar with the Hispanic Chamber, Dee Jennings with the Black Chamber, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau staff, which was very eager to come in and make corrections. And so you had representation of Black and brown people. Now we have the East Side, being omitted. And this is a big deal for us. I want to share some things with you. Judy mentioned Bonnie and Clyde, and I saw some snickering, but we're proud of that. People come and want to know where they were all the time. Lee Harvey Oswald is buried there. People want, it may not be a real good deal that happened, but it brings people to the East Side. But to Bob and Mitch, I would also submit to you, we also have the remains of Confederate soldiers and freed slaves in two cemeteries within walking distance to each other. When we had the Super Bowl here, NFL wives found their way to Hanley. Nobody was promoting it, but they found their way to Hanley in the snow several times. Those shop owners had to go and restock. And when you talk about antiques, Bob Dollar he's deceased. He and Francis are dead now. But Bob Dollar owned that square, which would have been, you would call it the town square. And there was a beauty shop. I'm from there, okay, so I can tell you all the history. There was a beauty shop there, and they had no parking. And they complained to Bob. So he just bought the whole thing and said, now you all have to get permission from me to park. So we're kind of unique. We're kind of quirky. But Bob, you mentioned May 7th as a date. Now, ladies, is that in sync with you all?
If it's in the contract.
Okay.
Why could it be in the contract that that's your drop dead to fix this map and portray us?
So, sorry, Cindy.
Not in the contract as it's written. Right
Yeah, sorry, I can't have dialogue back and forth. I apologize. So come to the microphone and just talk to Ms. Bivens if you don't mind. That's fine. That's no problem.
So is that date okay with you guys if everything is in sync? You're going to be, okay. What I'd like to see is, I'd like to see the four of you guys and whoever else you want to bring form your own impromptu task force, meet when you want to meet. Bob is okay with that, Mitch is too. And I just wanted to get all of you on record with that so you can take your seats now. What I will tell people is you have to know who to talk to. And in the city of Fort Worth, neighborhood associations and homeowner associations are the crux of where the rubber meets the road for the opinions of neighborhood leaders. Now, you mentioned the East Fort Worth Alliance. That's a good organization, too. I don't have access to them. They have their meetings. But these neighborhood leaders, that's who you need to be with. And I can tell you, Cindy helped write a law that's being used all over the nation now, training police officers on dealing with dogs. Torchy and Cindy and Judy both took on street racing as an issue, and we've got that on a path to getting some answers, as well as fireworks. So it's the neighborhood leaders. And I just wanted to make sure people know that and know a little bit about the East Side. I took liberty to tell you some quirky things about us. And we are the bridal capital. People come from all around to Hanley. We just need people to know who we are and where we are. So those are my comments. Mayor, thank you for letting me vent, but I am an East Side girl.
Councilmember Firestone, followed by Councilmember Beck.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple quick things. We just had a board meeting for the Visit Fort Worth group yesterday, and there's just a terrific story. And so, Bob and Mitch, thank you for sharing that with us and the board. And I just do want to recognize Ms. Taylor and Bowling and White as well. Thank you for alerting Visit Fort Worth of an issue that you found. And I think, you know, from the way Bob and Mitch run the organization is one of continuous improvement. And you've brought something to their attention. I think they've recognized it, and thank you for that. And I think we'll be better for it. And, you know, ultimately what I think Visit Fort Worth achieves is, you know, so much a reflection of our city in the positive aspects of it. And now they have more positive aspects to share. And nobody's perfect, no organization is perfect, but I think we'll be better for it. So thank you for doing that, and thank you, Bob and Mitch, for recognizing what has been shared and seeing the opportunity in how to get better. So we appreciate it.
Councilmember Beck.
Thank you all so much for coming and advocating for your community. That's so important, and I won't belabor what my colleagues have said. Thank you, Mitch and Bob, for everything that you do at Visit Fort Worth. I have found you to be so open and receptive to change and to suggestion over the tenure I've worked with you. And so I'm confident that we'll be able to develop a solution that makes everybody happy. But I want to go on the record of saying I think short-term adding the East Side to the map is what we want, but that's not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is this council working with your representatives, District 5, District 8, the new District 11, to support placemaking on the East Side. So we don't have to be reminded of what you have there. When we're making a map of Fort Worth, we know what's there because we're attracting people. So you have my commitment to work with my colleagues on council to not just fix the map today, but create the map of the future. And with that, I'll make a motion, move to approve.
Perfect. Thank you. I've got a motion on the floor. And I'll just close by saying, it's already been said, you've got the right principles in the room. These two gentlemen have led one of the most successful organizations in Fort Worth to put us on the map for the right reasons, and so that we're incredibly thankful. For those that are watching today, if you haven't seen the new Fort Worth commercial, An Unexpected City, featuring the voice of Jimmy Stewart, I highly encourage you to visit their website. But we can all make change and improvement. And the great thing is, too, you have council members that sit on the Visit Fort Worth board, both Leonard Firestone, Councilmember Beck, and Councilmember Flores, to also push forward. It's not, to Beck's point, it's not just about a map, it's about other features in the city that we all need to be better about talking about, marketing, and that's the agency that can make it happen. So you're in good hands with Bob and Mitch, and we really appreciate you taking the time this morning to come. I've got a motion and a second. Anybody?
Mayor,
Yes.
Councilmember Crane had originally made the motion.
Perfect. There you go. Yeah. With that, any other discussion, council? Then we can vote. Motion carries.
Next item will be upcoming and recent events, recognition of citizens, and approval of ceremonial travel if needed by council.
Councilmember Flores, I think you're up first.
Thank you, Mayor. Melissa, if I can get the presentation up. Okay. Couple things. On Monday, April 17th, Councilmember Nettles and I jointly presented a city recognition for Christina Kahlo, who's a grandniece of the famous Mexican painter Frida Kahlo. And we did it respectfully in English and Spanish. And we presented her with Molly pins as well. Representatives from the Mexican consulate in Dallas were present as well. She was a special guest at Tarrant County College in the South Campus in District 8, and they were hosting their Student Award Celebration of Excellence. She also then conducted a Mexican photography workshop for TCC students and faculties, and then had a lecture on the Kahlo family legacy in partnership with the Modern Art Museum at Fort Worth. So it was a very good event, very enriching to hear her and be able to touch a little piece of history. Next slide, please. On Wednesday, April 19th, several of us here on council attended Mayor Parker's second annual Where Achievement Begins celebration at the Bob Bowen Public Safety Complex. And again, we were trying to harness the efforts to help our schools build workforce-ready graduates. It was very well attended, and there were some great, meaningful panel conversations that the mayor and the students and other stakeholders participated in. So thank you, Mayor, for having that. And then I have a couple of announcements. The first, Coffee with the Cop, and that's at Casa Azul. If you haven't visited there, check it out. It is really great coffee. At 300 West Central Avenue, you get a chance to meet the Northwest Commander, Jason Kim, and his NPOs as well. And it's a great opportunity to get to know those police officers that keep our neighborhoods safe. It's important to establish that conversation, the sense of relationship, and build public trust. So I invite you to come out Wednesday, April 26th from 9 to 10 a.m. And the last announcement that I have, the Fort Worth Aviation Museum in District 2 is having its annual Hops and Props Airplane and Craft Brew Fest, the only one in the Metroplex, mind you, on Saturday, April 29th from 9 to 5 p.m. Food, brews, live music, airplane and helicopter rides, family activities, and fun. Come on out and support the Aviation Museum and get to know those volunteers that keep it flying. And that's at 3300 Ross Avenue, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Carlos. No other Councilmember Williams. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. We had an awesome time at our District 6 open house just a few weeks ago. If you didn't get the chance to attend the event, we have the YouTube now available. You can follow our social media for our council office at Jared Williams TX, and there's a link in the biography on all platforms, and it'll take you to the YouTube link for this video. So please check it out. There are a lot of important updates related to transportation improvements, park improvements, and also safety initiatives that are really important for our district. So be sure to check that out. If you have any questions that you need answered, please feel free to reach out to our office at District 6 at fortworthtexas.gov. Next slide, please. We have another Litter Day on Saturday, April 29th from 9 to 11. Join us as we build community with one another. It's a great opportunity to build relationships with neighbors that you may not have met, and also do some good for the city and our neighborhoods by keeping it clean and beautiful. So join us for that. It'll be a really good time. Next slide. I would like to invite all of our District 6 residents and any folks who are interested to an important dedication ceremony where we will honor the life and memory of Ben and Meg Arbor. We'll be dedicating a park memorial bench as well as a memorial street topper on Risinger Road, and that'll be next Wednesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. at Summer Creek Ranch Park. We will also be posting the details on social media. Please share this. It is a tragedy, and their lives were taken too soon due to reckless driving, but their memory and legacy and impact in the district reverberates in our community. And so please join us and the family and neighbors as we remember and honor the life of Ben and Meg Arbor through this dedication ceremony. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Firestone.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. On April 13th, I was honored to attend Meta's community grant presentation along with the mayor and some other dignitaries. Among the 12 grant recipients this year were the Fort Worth Botanic Garden, Fort Worth Public Library, and the Fort Worth Zoo. Just importantly, since I want people to know that since Meta began providing these grants in 2018, they have awarded 96 local grants totaling $3.2 million. We were also able to take an extensive tour of the facility and learned how they use wind energy to maintain the entire facility. And we just want to thank Meta for their investment into the community in so many different ways. Next slide, please. One other announcement. That evening, the mayor and I were at the Crestline Neighborhood Association, and we provided an overview of District 7 in the city and the good things that are happening and answered a variety of questions. And I just wanted to thank Crestline for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. And Councilmember Nettles.
Thank you. Dr. Opali is still on her grand tour. She was at Baker Chapel AME Church, and we had an opportunity to hear her speak and tell her story. It was a packed house. Next slide is what Councilman Carlos previously talked about with Christina Callow recognition at TCC South Campus. It was a wonderful and great event. Next slide. I had the opportunity to enjoy Main Street with my family on Sunday. It was a great event. The weather was up and down, but we were there. Next slide, I got a couple of announcements. Carter Metropolitan CME Church Spring Community Festival is happening on Saturday, April the 29th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Music, fun, trucks, help screenings, games, craft vendors, and the list goes on and on. Please come out and experience a great time. The next slide is going to be at Hillside. It's going to be at Tatiana Carr Jefferson Community Center at Hillside presents Mommy and Me Paint. And so we're asking people to come out April the 28th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then also Mother's Day brunch. The next slide is going to be on May the 6th at 11 a.m. also at Hillside Community Center. So please come out to these events, bring your family and your daughters out. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Councilmember Beck.
All right, first up, I got the honor of being the mystery reader for Mr. Joey's first grade class at Alice Carlson. It was fun to be back in the school that my kids went to, and it hasn't changed a bit, and it really is a gem in District 9 and for Fort Worth ISD. Next slide. Mayor and I had the opportunity to cut the ribbon on Oakhurst Park's new equipment. That neighborhood has a really amazing group, the Friends of Oakhurst Park, that work to enhance what the city provides in that amenity, and the result is a really unique place for that neighborhood where they've managed to rebuild and revamp, but also keep a lot of the nostalgia there with their park and their I'm looking at Richard, I don't see Richard. He would know the date off the top of his head, but we don't have it in the picture, but they have 2 old toucans that have been there since the park was built that they saved, and so it's a really unique place. I'd recommend everybody go check it out. Next slide. Speaking of parks, this is a big one. The near South Side's Fire Station Park is actually now open, so if you're inclined to grab your skateboard or your dirt bike, we have a pump track for your dirt bike and a brand new skate park. There's a dog park as well. We're really excited about it. And April 29th, we're having an all-day event. So from 11 to 5, we ask that you come on out and check the new park out and celebrate with us. It's going to be a really fun day in the near South Side. Next slide. Speaking of near South Side, the Fairmount Mother's Day weekend home tour is Mother's Day weekend, and if you've never been, it's a really fun opportunity to go and view some old homes and how people in our community are really preserving our history in the city of Fort Worth. And not on the slide, but we just got an email. I want to make sure everybody knows Saturday, May 6th, there is the March for Mammograms 5K in Trinity Park. You can go to barbaracaresforyou.org to sign up for that event. Make sure you do that after you go vote. And that's all I've got.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And council, I think that's the last of our presentations.
Council, next will be speakers on the non-consent agenda item, and I believe we have 2 speakers, Mayor.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Justin Bosworth, followed by Mr. Adrian Smith.
I'm Mayor, Council. I'm actually here in reference to item resolution 230297, and I was just here to speak if there were any questions on that.
Okay.
item, so.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions from council members? We appreciate you being here. Thank you, Justin. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
Okay. For those who have printouts, this is a resolution 230300, page 12 of 15, to the Fort Worth Communities Arts Center, the arts community. Your voices are needed here at council. I know there's a task force that has heard you all out, but I think that it limits what you're trying to do. So to the arts community, if you're listening, to the IMP, Mr. Gentle, sir, please rally the arts community and have them here next week at the public comments meeting so that this council can hear their voices. The $26 million that the Fort Worth Community Arts Center is in need of, it should happen. It should happen. It should happen. I think the task force is just a smoke and mirrors tactic. But I know you're going to do the right thing today and give them more time so we can get this matter resolved. I will be at the next meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, listening and taking notes. So get it right, council. $26 million is not enough. It's not a lot compared to what you've already wasted. And we don't have to go into details regarding that. So to the arts community, I stand with you wholeheartedly. And as I take my seat, I heard nothing but violins playing when you all went into that little spiel after these ladies said what they said. I just heard nothing but classical music and violins playing, meaning it's just the same old rhetoric over and over and over, but you all are not listening. You all do not get it. So if there's not anything happening in your district that hasn't been happening, that should be happening, it starts with your council member, your council representation. To the business developers and business interests, we want our city back. Coffee with a cop, I don't drink coffee. But I think the community would like a police and community advisory committee that they asked for. I think we would like that. That sounds more befitting. Everyone doesn't drink coffee. 9 seconds. Oh, Mr. Blaylock, you're trending now, sir. Thank you.
That's the last of our speakers on the non-consent agenda, council.
Council, the next item will be approval of Resolution 230297.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 230300.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 230298.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote.
Motion pass. Next item is 230299.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is the public hearing MNC 230191, which was continued.
I think Eric Flatiger is going to present today. Oh, we're continuing it. Just kidding. We don't get to see Eric today.
Yes. And to clarify, that was continued to August 8th, 2023.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Next item is 230332 with report by Keith Morris.
Hi, Keith. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. I'm Keith Moore, Assistant Director for the Police Department. The purpose of today's hearing is to receive public comment and act on amendment to the fiscal year 2023 budget of the Crime Control and Prevention District. City Council approval is the final step in the CCPD budget amendment process. The budget amendment that was approved by the CCPD Board increases the recruitment and training initiative by $1,338,875.00 from fund balance to fund an additional police trainee class number 157. At the February 28th CCPD Board of Directors meeting, staff made a recommendation to add an additional police training class in order to address vacancies resulting from staffing increases in the FY23 budget and also attrition. The additional class will allow the police training division to begin training class 157 later this year. The amendment moves $1,338,875.00 into the Equipment, Technology, and Infrastructure Initiative from fund balance to fund Class 157. The CCPD Board held a public hearing and approved this amendment at its meeting on February 28th. Following any public comment, staff recommends that City Council close the public hearing and act on the budget amendment in MNC.
Thank you, Keith. Any questions for Mr. Morris? Go ahead, Councilmember Nettles.
Thank you, Mayor. And I did just hear you mention one of my questions. I just wanted to highlight it just for clarification for the community. And I think you stated that the funds are not increased, the budget is not increasing. You're reallocating money from the fund balance to the recruitment.
Yes, it's from fund balance to the recruiting, yes.
Right, but the budget total is not increasing.
It is increasing from fund balance, yes.
So the total fund balance is increasing by $1 million.
The appropriated.
I don't want to confuse you.
Sure.
Tell us where the money is coming, the $1 million is coming from.
From fund balance appropriated to budget in the recruitment program.
Oh, okay, so the entire budget is not increasing by $1 million. It's been reallocated to the recruitment.
I believe what you're saying is correct, but I was previously confused. So
okay.
I can get clarification to you if needed.
Okay, you can, but I think that's correct. And I just wanted to make sure the community is aware that we're not increasing the CCPD fund balance. We're actually reallocating money to recruitment so that we can fill our vacancies in our police department.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Flores.
I'm just ready for a motion.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Beck, go ahead.
Hey, Keith, could you just, for the record, make sure this is for, y'all brought to work session how we weren't paying recruits at a competitive rate. Is this tied to our decision in that work session to increase recruit pay, and is that why we're making this adjustment?
That adjustment's already been made, so
Okay.
the recruit pay has gone up.
Okay.
This is adding a class, and we said this might happen last August. We need to look at where attrition was trending.
Okay.
To make sure we can fill our vacancies.
Okay, thank you. I'll move to approve.
Got a motion, council, and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 230321.
Councilmember Flores? You're just not allowed to speak, I guess. That's how it goes.
Approval.
Well, there we go. We got motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 230345.
Councilmember Beck?
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, I believe that is all of the action items for today.
Well, council, it looks like meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for being here.